Byrum Brown reportedly entering the portal. This was the next step. This was the next step of the offseason.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zach Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Happy Charlie Tuesday to all who celebrate Auburn message board legend, the Charlie 5, also known as Kyle Rush. He's a man over at the barn. He hosts the Top Button podcast. I want to talk about winning in 2026 and how that's tied to the quarterback position. Obviously, Deuce is a big part of the main story that we're talking about today, and that is Byron Brown reports surfacing that he is intending to enter the transfer portal when it opens on January 2nd. You cannot enter the portal until January 2nd. If you enter the portal, you, of course, can return. And I think those are all the disclaimers that people like me to say. Byron Brown, Alex Golesh's quarterback at South Florida. Obviously, as soon as this happened, all heads then shifted to Alex Golesh and Auburn, saying like, okay, here's an obvious tie here. Does this make sense? And obviously, we have been expecting this really since the day Alex Golesh was hired.
Yeah. Would you say the worst kept secret in the history of college football maybe is possibly Byron Brown going into the portal and Auburn being the favorite? Is there a worse kept secret than that?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think the biggest question is, why did it take so long after their bowl game for this to actually happen? I think you're listening to this on a Tuesday. I think maybe Sunday night he informed South Florida folks that he intended to, his final decision, he intended to go into the portal. It's announced yesterday. And then obviously you get all these sources, Pete Nakos, Chris Hummer, all these with CBS Sports, all these folks saying that Auburn's going to be the big school to watch. And I think that's what's really kept a lot of people. I know that you and I talked, and I've talked a lot about getting wins and maybe the importance or lack of importance of winning the PR battle in this period of like no information where you can't really do anything but lose.
Correct.
And how maybe that was concerning or wasn't concerning. And I think everybody's kind of waiting on this announcement. And this announcement feels like it's not guaranteed. I mean, he could go anywhere. But it does feel like Auburn is the natural landing spot. And I think it's exciting because it's very rare. I don't think anybody has to sell themselves on Byron Brown. There's a lot of quarterbacks where we have to convince ourselves. I don't think there's a lot of convincing when it comes to Byron Brown.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of comments and responses to some of the stuff we've put up about Byron Brown, reports of him going into the portal. And I'm glad that you brought that up because that's exactly where I wanted to go. Because I've seen several folks say, oh, stop me if you've heard this before. New quarterback and getting or new head coach, and you're getting a quarterback from the portal. Yeah. And oh, by the way, a lot of folks are doing that, and a lot of folks are finding success with it. And I think when you look at this situation compared to other situations, is you have a quarterback following a coach. And there's been production. And I love the way you phrase that. You don't have to talk yourself into Byron Brown. You made that point, and we talked about it during the coaching search. Like, we just wanted a head coach where we didn't have to squint and turn our head of like why this makes sense. And I think we got that with Alex Golesh. It's like, okay, yeah, he checks a few boxes, and it's like, okay, yeah, I could see why you would want this guy to lead your football program. Same with Byron Brown. You could see why you would want him to lead your football team and lead the offense. Extremely productive. We don't have to do he was ranked whatever out of high school, or man, he has the traits if he can put it together, or
he was in a really bad situation.
And he's got a better situation here. We don't have to do any of that. It's, this is a guy who was extremely productive at South Florida, in the exact same system last year, exact same system for the head coach, exact same offensive coordinator, exact same associate head coach, all of it. And I think that is a major difference. And if you're just going to scoff and try to compare it to Jackson Arnold or Peyton Thorne or Zach Calzada or TJ Finley or Robbie Ashford, like I think we're being dishonest here.
Totally. I mean, and you don't have to really even go like look that hard into it and look at him last year, some of his performances versus, some of the upper echelon talent. I mean, you got Miami, a playoff team, and he threw for, 274, completed, over 55% of his passes, threw a touchdown. And then Florida, obviously they won that game. And he threw for 263 yards and a touchdown and ran for another 66 and had a game-clinching run, clutch game-clinching run to get them in field goal range to win that game.
Yeah.
It's huge, regardless of Florida's record. The talent comparison's not even close. Again, I just don't think you have to reach very far to sell yourself on not only – can this kid produce? And then is this a guy that will attract people to want to play with him? And I think the answer should be a resounding yes.
Correct. And I think if you're a receiver that, maybe is on the fence, I think that's exciting unless they want to play with Deuce, which Deuce will be a part of this. And we'll discuss exactly what that means moving forward in just a moment. But the Byron Brown, as far as him going to Auburn, is there any doubt in your noggin, in your brain, that he goes elsewhere? Talked to somebody on the phone yesterday, and I'm not sure if they would really know, but man, they were so confident where it made you think about it that is like, man, I'm here in Florida. I'm here in Florida for Byron Brown. And I'm like, that would make sense geographically. And, you saw what Buster did, who's the OC at Florida now, what he did with Haynes King. Like, okay, like that would make some sense. But I mean, these two guys have been tied to the hip, Golesh and Brown, since like as soon as he became the head coach. So I have a hard time seeing it not be Auburn. But of course, there is a chance that he could go elsewhere.
Miami is a team that could possibly get into the sweepstakes. Florida, there's a kid. I feel like his last name's Philo. Can't think of his whole name, but he's a Georgia Tech freshman.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, he's more than likely going to be following Buster Faulkner. Georgia Tech loved him, and that's probably going to be their guy moving forward.
Aaron Philo.
There you go. And
yeah, Brandon Olson of Locked On Gators talked about him, and he originally thought that he would be the guy, and now there's talk of they're going to get 2 portal quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it's going to be Auburn, and you probably bring in a couple more South Florida guys as well. Again, the only team I'm necessarily looking at where I'm like, because Miami just loves to get into the portal quarterback sweepstakes for 1-year guys. That's just kind of their thing. They love to spend, whatever it is, $4 or $5 million on
had good success with it
on a 1-year guy. And, you're in the playoffs now because of it. So that's always a concern. But at the end of the day, I think it would speak a lot to the relationship, speak a lot to the success that he's had with Alex Golesh, and does he, will he just naturally follow along with him? I think that would speak volumes to exactly their relationship, and then how much he sees him, how much Byrum sees Alex, Coach Golesh, as sort of the driver of this ship that's been so successful.
So there's something about that you just hinted at. I want to talk about that too, because there's another thing that's popped up on the internet that I think is a little premature, and that's next. Right,
scratch
here
that surface.
On Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Omaha Steaks. Kyle, you love meat in a box.
Nobody
loves meat
in a box.
In a box. No one. When I say Omaha Steaks, what do you think of?
Meat box, love it.
Yeah, high quality, delicious. It's not just beef. They've got chicken. They've got, the hamburger. I mean, they've got every sort of thing you could possibly imagine. The sides, the desserts. It's a lot of
The
box.
fixins.
The fixins?
All the
It
fixins.
comes with like the Omaha steak seasoning too that totally slaps. You can save big on gourmet gifts this holiday season with Omaha steaks. I actually got this for my parents. They got it about a week ago, and every time I'm calling them, they're like, "Hey, we're having burgers tonight. Hey, we're having steak tonight." Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, good." I'm jealous. I should have got me one too, but that's fine. Visit omahasteaks.com for an extra $35 off. Use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com. Use promo code COLLEGE. Today's show also brought to you by our friends at Kia Autosport of Columbus. I tell you what, some people go into the new year saying, new year, new me, new car, new me. And nobody's going to get you a better deal on a new Kia than our friends at Kia Autosport Columbus. If you're in the Auburn Opelika area, drive on over there. If you're in Atlanta, drive on over there. If you're anywhere in the Southeast, it's worth the drive. You can browse our inventory right now, KiaAutosportColumbus.com, or you can go see them in person in Columbus, Georgia, right off of Whittlesey Boulevard. Say, hey, I heard about you guys on Locked on Auburn. That'll save you some money, as well as just
free tires for life.
Tires for life. Come on.
Almighty.
Come on. Tell you what, we had a tire issue with one of our family's vehicles, and I was thinking, like, man, if we had bought this a new Kia from Kia Autosport,
just the wrong
Columbus.
vehicle. Just ended up being the wrong vehicle, wrong time.
That's all right. That's right. Now we know. We're smarter for it. We're smarter for it. That's right. Wish it would have been the Sorrento. It was not. But that's okay. That's okay.
Wouldn't have batted it.
Yeah, KiaAutosportColumbus.com. Thank you so much for making Locked on Auburn your first listen every single day. I want to get to the Deuce part of this in just a second. But USF fans, surprisingly loud. And I can't tell if it's just 6 people that are super loud or if there's an actual fan base there, but whatever. But they're upset with Golesh just leaving them high and dry, right? And how he just burned all these players, right? That's the narrative that the salty USF fans are saying, which, okay, whatever. What's he supposed to do, right? He got the job at 1 a.m. There's a meeting at 10, 9 hours later. What do you want the guy to do? Call a meeting at 6 a.m? Yeah. So they're like, man, I can't believe he just left all these players high and dry. I'm like, okay, well, my pushback to that is, well, let's see. I mean, if he's just if all these players just felt shafted by the way he left, let's see if any follow him. Let's see, because the early reports are that is not going to be the case. It's I don't think Byron Brown feels that way. I think he wants to go join him. Or Lee or Gaskin, those defensive backs we've talked about, that they've kind of been tied to Auburn, at least early on in the process. Let's see how they feel about it. And if Auburn doesn't get any USF guys in the portal, okay, maybe they're right. But I'm not quite there on that storyline on the USF side of things.
No. And look, it's gotta be tough because of how in the depths that you were before Golesh got there, and then you leave as a 9-3. You leave on a 9-3 season, and you see a guy like John Sumrall, although they were in the playoffs, him stay and coach you through the playoffs, and whatever. So I get it. Look, I get the frustration, and I saw some tweets where it was 16 Auburn players have gone in the portal and only 4 South Florida. What does that tell you about Alex Golesh? And it's coming from South Florida folks. And then now you see the real stuff starting to happen, like Byron Brown. And look, I'm not saying it's a 1,000% locked Auburn. It feels that way. And if he goes somewhere else, I'm sure we will have a couple of meltdown shows talking about, oh my gosh, sound the alarm.
Well,
but I mean, it really looks like, by all accounts, the guys that were elite, that became elite at South Florida, want to be a part of what Golesh is doing elsewhere. So I mean, I get the frustration, but at the end of the day, it just kind of is what it is. You are who you are, and and Auburn is who Auburn is, and that's just it. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and I can't imagine being with the way college football has shifted. It would really be unfortunate to have to be a massive fan base of a solid group of 6 school. Where in this new format, once you find success, you become a feeder to other programs. That stinks.
Whether
that
it's totally a coach or player, or player.
Right. And I know they got the hot shot from Ohio State, but it's as soon as he goes 9-3, he's going to be a head coach somewhere else.
Totally.
Heartline, it's just part of it. So that would be a total bummer, and we're thankful to be.
Embrace that part of it, though. My thing is embrace that you're the launching pad. Now you can be attractive to the next up and coming hot coach that can take South Florida and continue this train that Golesh built, and then maybe jump to the next one. And then you know what? You repeat the cycle. And the same thing with the players. You're the school, you can maybe get some guys out of high school that normally won't go straight, that normally you wouldn't be able to get, and you can turn them into big time prospects that can jump up.
Yeah.
Just understand where you are, who you are, and everything's a lot easier to digest.
Yeah, and in theory, if you do that enough times, you then become that's who you are, then maybe you keep somebody, right?
Exactly.
So let's pivot to Deuce Knight just for a second, because I go back and forth on buying if I think it's possible to have Byron Brown and Deuce Knight. But if Byron Brown doesn't pick Auburn and they handle Deuce Knight correctly, and if they just say, hey, Deuce Knight, you're our guy, and we're going to get a portal guy to back you up, I'm 100% okay with that option.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty nice fallback plan, but I don't think that necessarily Byron Brown in and of himself has to dictate what – not has to dictate. I'm going to say will dictate what Deuce Knight does. So for everyone that says if you take Byron Brown, you're going to lose Deuce Knight, I think you're just wrong. I think it has to do with what other landing spots there are where he can become a starting quarterback. And when you look around the SEC, there's not many places that are, it's just a clear-cut pathway to become a starting quarterback. And I think Deuce is smart enough to understand that if I am going to sit, probably my best situation is to sit at Auburn, where I'm guaranteed to only have a quarterback ahead of me for only one more season. And then you just have to trust if what Golesh is saying, that, hey, I'm the future. I'm next. There's a plan for me. And do you buy into that? So I don't buy into if it's an either or situation where it's either Byron Brown or it's Deuce Knight. I think there can be an and situation. And I think it really depends on, I'm looking at in the Ole Miss situation, in how the waiver situation works out with, Chambliss, and then what happens with Austin Simmons. If for some reason they're both not at Ole Miss next year, I could easily see that being a scenario where Deuce Knight slides in. But you go around the SEC, looks like Florida has their guy. Looks like Lane is kind of looking at Lagway. It looks like all these different schools kind of have their dude penciled in as who they
Miss
want.
Makes sense depending on what happens with Trinidad.
Exactly.
And with
but
Simmons.
do you want to go battling out with Austin Simmons at Ole Miss, or do you want to come back to Auburn and you only have Byron Brown for 1 year? What do you want to do? I don't think Deuce is dumb. I don't think the people around Deuce are dumb. I think that if it comes to that, I think they make the right decision.
Yeah, and then it adds the question, would he go to the Big Ten, or would he go out west? UCLA just opened up. Is that somewhere I would argue that's not a better situation, but that's not my call. So how picky is he, or is the path just to start as quick as possible? Which that's the way people are saying, if you get that, Deuce will leave. I think the assumption then is, okay, well, all that matters to Deuce is starting. And if that's the case, then he would be gone because he can go anywhere. But I don't think that's it. I think there's more context to it than that.
Sure. I think it's but starting at a higher level program. I think that has a lot. I think it's starting with conditions.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
When it comes to winning in 2026, obviously quarterback is going to be a huge part of it. Can Byron Brown add wins to this Auburn season? And where would he be? Like, how would we think of him if we didn't have Alex Golesh? That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Game Time is the best place to buy tickets, Kyle. Doesn't matter if it's for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, the theater. It doesn't matter what it is. Game Time has you covered, including World Cup tickets, obviously coming back to North America for the first time since 1994 with 48 teams for the first time ever. It's going to be massive. It's going to be crazy. And kind of tough to get tickets. Wrong. Download the Game Time app. They've got you covered. You pull up the app. The layout makes it so simple to scroll through every matchup and compare seat views. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, download the app, make an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. Kyle, I think there is some sort of, with some part of the fan base, there's some sort of negative view of, and let me finish my thought before you judge what I'm saying. There's some sort of negative view towards Byrum Brown because he played at South Florida and because he's just Alex Golesh's former quarterback at his previous stop. I don't know if everyone fully grasps how attractive and how big of a target he would be in the open market amongst quarterbacks. And we're talking about a portal class of quarterbacks that is a who's who of big names, right? DJ Lagway, Dylan Raiola, Byrum Brown, Childs from Michigan State, who I actually think is kind of solid, that's flying under the radar. Sorsby from Cincinnati. I mean, a lot of quarterbacks that have played a lot of football and won a lot of games and have made plays for their teams. I think Byron Brown would be a very attractive and sought after piece in all of this. But I think some people are writing it off as, oh, well, he's just Alex Golesh's guy from the previous stop.
I think if Alex Golesh stayed at South Florida, there's a very good chance Byron Brown goes into the portal as quarterback, like goes to the portal because of how sought after, I think, in a vacuum he would be. Don't discredit the whole Auburn connection and Golesh connection as if it's like devalues the type of quarterback you're getting out of the portal. Like, to me, that's you're not analyzing this thing completely accurate in my opinion. I think that anybody, if they felt like they had a really good shot and they needed a top-notch quarterback, Byron Brown would be at the top of their list. And don't think that Auburn's not the only one that's either already called him or is going to be calling him. So again, this kind of harkens back to our earlier.
Did you say harkens?
I did say harkens. Like, sometimes I just pull stuff from nowhere.
That was crazy. What a pull by you.
It makes sense. Sometimes like I go back a little bit earlier. And now that you got me off track, I totally forgot.
It harkens back to what we were saying earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah, but now I don't even remember what we were talking about earlier. Oh, no, I'm totally blank. I'm gonna have to back out. You got me off track, and I'm completely. When
you said that, were you like, please don't point it out? Please don't point it out.
Yeah. Well, when I said it in the back of my mind, I thought it would probably send up some flares, but
okay.
But
you were in such a flow state that it just
I was locked in, and then you just got me right off track.
Yeah. I forgot what I asked you originally.
Yeah. All right. What's next?
How many extra games?
Before we get to that, I want to make another point about Deuce. Okay.
Yeah.
Really quick. Byron Brown had, let's see, he had 175 carries last year. Okay. That's what? That's over 10 a game, well over 10 a game.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And it's not just like a bunch of quarterback scrambles. It's quarterback powers. It's a lot of quarterback runs.
Between the tackle running.
Between the tackles. A lot of quarterback number being called in the run game. And I think that is also something that should be, in my opinion, very appealing for not only Golesh, if you can keep the Deuce situation, the Deuce scenario together, but also very appealing to Deuce that, like, I know there's the adage of I'm only a play away, but you're literally only a play away. Like, and he was hurt 2 years ago. So like you could possibly have a scenario to where you run your full offense with Byron Brown. One thing goes wrong, one little ding, one little helmet hitting in the wrong spot, one little ankle rolling in the wrong place, and Deuce is the guy. You know what I mean? So that's another big time selling point on top of you're guaranteed only one season away. That makes a ton of sense, and why I don't think it's I don't think it's an or situation. I think it's an and.
Yeah,
it could be
I think that's super, super important, and I think it's a great point, especially with him being injured 2 years ago. That's a great point.
Yep,
that's a great point.
We'll have to harken back further to figure that out.
Yeah. We just been singing a lot of like "Hark the Herald Angels Sing."
I just wish I could go back and figure out what the heck I was talking about.
Harken back to it. Right. If you're watching or listening, your challenge today, use "harken" in a sentence, and then tag me and Kyle on social media so we can review it, see if you used it correctly or not.
I would love that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Videos encouraged. It could just be text and quotes. That's fine too. I'm genuinely curious what kind of response we get on that. Byron Brown. This is a full segment. I don't want to waste it with just 2 minutes, but I do think he adds total wins if Auburn were to get him through the schedule, but we can discuss that another time. Kyle, how can people check out everything you've got going on if they want to harken on over to your podcast and all that? How do they do it?
Hark yourself right on over to thebarnauburn.com, where you can sign up for a membership. Go to the Barn Auburn on YouTube or anywhere you get a podcast, the Barn Podcast Network.
Yes. Hey, please like the video. Please subscribe. And if you're tuned in on audio, please subscribe and leave us a review. And look, I'm going to be selfish just for a second here. At the start of the year, I set a goal for 27,000 subscribers. We are less than 50 away. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. But if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribed. It really helps.
Be responsible.
And that was a pretty lofty goal when we set it. And I'm actually kind of amazed that we have a shot to hit it. So please help us out. That would mean a ton to me. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked on Auburn.